Lainie Fritz is not just a young, fresh face on Charleston television, but she has sports in her blood. Her father is the head football coach at Georgia Southern University. I had a chance to talk with her about that and much, much more for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. Lainie, you know the last time I saw you and actually first met you was on the market.
Yes, it was. I ran into you downtown.
Yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And I remember you being very gracious and very nice.
Oh, thank you.
And I haven't seen you since then. But tell me, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing just fine. Doing just fine. You know, I want to rewind time to really July 12th. It was your first time on air here at Channel 2 as the weekend sports anchor and reporter. And I actually watched that broadcast at 6 and 7. And to me, it felt like it was flawless. Tell me, do you remember it being flawless?
No, actually I don't. I remember it feeling a little bit uncomfortable. It was my first time, not uncomfortable, but I was very nervous.
Right.
And we had just changed it to putting sports at the end of the show.
Sure.
So it was something new for them and obviously brand new for me. It was
Yeah.
my first job. Very hard on myself, so it did not feel flawless at all, but I'm glad that you thought that.
Yes, I did, absolutely. I did. You made it felt great. I mean, we couldn't tell that it was uncomfortable.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. And I want to continue to walk down memory lane because I want to rewind time to June 16th, that is, because you actually began work here at Channel 2. And as you know, a lot of people here started their careers in a small market like Charleston. Tell me, what was it like working here the first time?
It was incredible. It was kind of, they say everything happens for a reason, and that's exactly how I felt when I got this job. I just thought it was the perfect fit. I loved this building, the people in the building, the city, of course. I mean, I'm coming from Texas,
Right.
and I love Texas, but I'm like, what better place to move? If you have to leave Texas, what better place to come than Charleston?
And
I love
so-
it. And so,
And let's talk about that because since your time here at Channel 2 in Charleston, a lot of big sports stories have been happening.
yeah.
So describe to me the following in one word. Doug Wojcik,
Disappointing.
Monty Lee,
Um, I don't know. I can't really say it in one word. I'm not sure, but I know the college is really glad that he's still here.
Coach Houston at Citadel,
Exciting.
Sertoma Classic.
Exciting as well.
Yeah. Herschel Walker.
Humble.
Yeah. Gus Masker tournament.
Fun. That was very fun.
Yeah. And let me piggyback to something that I may talked about earlier because it was obviously your first television job here. Although you're new to television, sports is really in your blood.
Yes.
So let's talk about your father being the head football coach at Georgia Southern University.
Yes, he is, and this is his first season there, and he was at Sam Houston prior to that, which is where I went to college
Right.
and where I graduated. So I'm very used to being around him. This is the first time I've really been away from my family, and in college I actually interviewed him after all the games and did the reporting for the school and everything.
How awkward is that?
I guess I wouldn't say awkward, but it's nice to be interviewing people who aren't my dad.
Right. And did he put you at ease or?
He did. He made it easy for me, and I loved interviewing him. I say that jokingly, but I think it was time to start, venture off on my own.
Yeah. And so, as you know, your father is the head football coach at Georgia Southern University, and I'm wondering how much did that influence you to get into sports? Because I'm sure you were gunning for news.
Actually I wasn't. That's kind of what got me into this field in the first place, was my love for sports. And someone actually, I'll never forget, a coach that coached with my dad, his wife actually, one day, I was probably in middle school, and she said to me, you should do sports reporting. You'd be really good. You already know about sports.
Right.
I did dance, theater, acting, sports, everything growing up. She's like, you're already used to performing and being in front of people, and I think you'd be really good. And ever since she said that, it stuck with me, and I kind of went in that direction.
Yeah. And let's go back to here at Channel 2 in Charleston, because obviously, speaking of decisions, you've had to choose here. And tell me, what was so attractive about Channel 2 in Charleston that made you say, hey, I want to work here?
Well, it was a sports position, first of all.
Right.
And, that's hard. It's hard to get there's only 1 or 2 sports spots at every station. So it is hard to break into that. And sometimes if you really do want to do sports, sometimes you do have to start doing something else. And so I loved that it was sports. I loved the energy here. There were a lot of new faces that were bringing new ideas, it felt like, but there were also a lot of people who had been here for so long and knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I came here, I would learn from some really great people.
Yeah. And speaking of which, let's talk about you. I mean, being in sports and that you're a woman. Tell me, how hard or easy is that?
It definitely has its pros and cons, because I think sometimes it's easier because it does set you apart. But it's hard because there are situations where people may not take you as seriously because you are a female. And there are certain things, when it comes to going into the locker rooms. I haven't had to experience any of this yet, but things like that make it more difficult on women.
Sure.
But I don't necessarily think it's a huge setback or something very hard to overcome.
And I want to stay with decisions because obviously you made a lot of those at Sam Houston State University. So I'm curious, who was Lainie Fritz as a college student?
I don't know. I guess I'd probably say I was on the dance team the whole time,
right.
and so that took up. I don't think some people realize it's like being in a full-time sport. You practice just as much as the other sports. You just don't get the benefits of the scholarships and being recognized as a sport, but you do practice just as much. And so I was usually always practicing. Those were my best friends. We did everything together. Everyone knew us as Orange Pride, and we did everything together. And I don't know. I'd say that I worked hard and I also had fun.
Yeah.
So.
And you talked about this earlier, but let's go back to Texas and talk to me about growing up there.
Well, actually, I was born in Texas. I was born in Huntsville, the town that I went to college in, where Sam Houston is, because my dad was a graduate assistant at Sam Houston.
Yeah.
But he did not stay there long. He was there for a year, and then he coached at Blinn Junior College. People may know that as where Cam Newton played.
Right.
And then he went to a college in Missouri, University of Central Missouri.
Right.
And so I actually spent 15 years in Missouri. So that's where I did most of my growing up. And then when I was headed into college, he got the position at Sam Houston as head coach. So I actually returned there for my college year. So it's kind of interesting how that came full circle. I was born there, and then I ended up there for college.
So is Missouri or Texas really home for you?
See, I would say Missouri because that's really where my whole life was formed. That's where I grew up. But I do feel like, when you're born in Texas, and I did spend about half of my life there, my first years in my college years, and I think your college years are really important. That's kind of like who shapes who you are. So I do really feel like Texas is home.
Yes.
But I don't know, I have to go 50-50 on that.
Sure, absolutely. And I want to talk more about your family because we know about your father. But let's talk about your sister, Brooke, who actually turned 17 recently.
Yes, she did. You did your research. She did. She is, we've become really close in these past few years. You know how that is.
Yeah.
She's 6 years younger than me, so it took a while to get on that friend level.
Yeah, because you have to be like the mentor there.
I got to be the mean big sister for a while. But she's definitely one of my closest friends now, and she's actually a performer. She sings, plays the guitar, and she's very talented. I'm really proud of her.
That is awesome. And let's talk about Mom, because she was instrumental in helping you move here and whatnot as well.
Yes, of course she was. My mother is a teacher, and I actually wanted to be a teacher when I was growing up until I kind of
when
changed.
When did the shift happen?
Probably when that coach's wife said that to me, I kind of started thinking. I was like, and I went more into that direction. But if I wasn't doing this, I think I would be a teacher because I love kids, and I've just been influenced by my mom so much, and seeing she's such a wonderful teacher and a mom, and she's just been she's the most loving person I know, hands down. So I think that she's definitely influenced me in that way.
And so, what letter would you write to your mom, beginning with Dear Mom?
What letter would I, oh wow. Dear Mom, thank you for being you and for shaping who I am, and I could never repay you for everything you've done for me.
Yeah. And as you've been here and you're on your way to great things, what have you learned so far about really life?
Probably roll with the punches. Things are going to happen on a daily basis that could bring you down, or they could make you stronger. And I think it's just so important not to, it sounds cliche, but sweat the small stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody might say something to you that hurts your feelings,
Right.
or you might just have a day where everything's going wrong, but if you keep, progressing past that, then you're only going to be better as a person.
Finish these sentences for me.
Okay.
The Bearcat Sports Network taught you.
It taught me, I think, interviewing a lot. I think that's what it really taught me, because your first experience interviewing, it is an art that you kind of have to learn.
Oh, yes.
Which I'm sure you know. So I think that
Right.
it really taught me, it just got me tons of experience with interviewing, I'd
Yeah.
say.
Warrensburg High School was.
It was a lot of ups and downs, I'd say, which I think high school is for everyone.
Oh, yes.
So I think, it taught me, to, I guess, I don't know, it taught me to basically grow up, like how I grew up.
Oh, yeah, it taught me the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
in 9th grade, I was bullied. And then 10th,
Exactly.
11th, 12th, it got better.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, 12th grade, I was really known around school as one of the most popular people around town, so that was good.
Yeah, it just, basically, it's fun to see where you started out in high school and then
Right.
where you end up, and your experiences in high school kind of shape who you are, I guess.
That's right.
So,
Dancing is.
it's a release. It's something that I enjoyed doing for fun, and it really taught me a lot about being a part of a team, I guess. Personally, I know dancing can be individual, but from my experiences, it was always as a team, and so dancing really taught me to work towards something, the bigger picture, working towards winning something with everyone.
God is.
Loving.
Yes. Lainie Fritz is.
I'd have to say passionate. I'm passionate about, pretty much everything I do, and
Your future is.
bright. I hope.
It will. And you'll be the next Brett Henry.
Well,
on
good.
ESPN.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I hope so. So, no.
Well, Lainie Fritz, it was so great talking to you.
It was great talking to you too. I really appreciate it, Quintin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.